The Departed. That was
Departed.
The Departed.
Departed.
The Fighter. The Fighter. Is the Fighter? That's Boston.
The Fighter. Yeah.
The Fighter.
The Fighter.
He's got his fight. I gotta get his fight.
I think I found a
I
transformer.
gotta get his fight. That sounds like Eddie Murphy.
It's this humble junk that's going to get you to college. That's Transformers 4.
So, James, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that Let me say that again. James, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that we do have a special guest today.
Another special guest, our third ever special guest.
We are very lucky, and if you're watching this, you'll have a special treat because I'm going to lean backwards now to reveal our special guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Georgie. For those of you who only listen to the podcast, which I know is the majority of you, flick on the video. Have a look at my dog. I've just walked her in the rain, which was fun. I properly tied her up, did the fetch. I was like, I need her to just chill when George comes over.
Because it's a big dog for a small space.
Big dog, small space. I've got her for 2 nights, which I'm very excited about. But it's like a part-time job to keep this dog exercised. So I thought I'm going to run her in the rain. She comes back in soaked, got her in the bath, scrubbed her down, dried her, fed her. You're here now, and I had to feed you.
Yeah.
Scrub George down.
In the bath.
Warm up some milk for him. We're going to talk about some films today, okay? Get George ready.
So if you are listening to this and not watching it, and there is ever a mad intrusion, I will just narrate for you whatever Georgie decides to do. James, for the listeners, Georgie is a what type of breed?
A Hungarian Vizsla, and yes, her name is Georgie, not to be confused with my podcast host, George.
Yes.
I'm not getting affectionate with him. I'm not calling him Georgie. I'm not doing a reference to it.
George is a dog. Yeah. And needs to be treated as thus. So... great. Well, that is our...
Just a reminder to flick the video on, guys.
I do feel bad that I'm blocking her really visually.
I know, but that's fine.
Because we don't know how she
has no equity in Pulp Kitchen.
No.
You know?
No. And her agent is a nightmare.
Did you go see the Mario Brothers movie this weekend? Because I did. And I'm going to talk about it.
Before we do that, James, I'd like to talk about some announcements that came out this week.
Let's do it.
As we do, you like to talk about the big announcements when they happen.
Yeah, we float around news when we see fit to cover it.
So the big news this week was about Star Wars. And there was a big thing called Star Wars Celebration here in London. And it was, lots of stuff happening. And it was an exclusive look at what's the future of Star Wars, as well as some other Disney properties as well. Now, I'm referring to an article from Games Radar here, where they've assembled basically the main announcements, and I'm gonna skip over the main things. But the main announcement was that there are going to be, James, 3 new Star Wars movies, not 1, not 2, but 3, and that's not like a new trilogy or whatever. 3 separate, distinct, individual Star Wars movies. The first one is going to be directed by James Mangold, who did Logan, is doing the upcoming Indiana Jones 5. He's actually been directing for like decades. He's been around for ages. He did Girl Interrupted way back. He did Walk the Line.
That's like a couple of months away. But anyway.
That's right. So he's going to be directing a film set thousands of years in the past and will focus on the first Jedi. So completely, extracted from the era that we know. And you know what? I'm fine with that. It's like House of the Dragon approach.
A really underexplored period in Star Wars canon from the films and the TV shows. I think it'd be fun to get on celluloid, the origins of the Force, the first Jedi.
Sure.
I'm into it. An anthology film. Love it.
Sure. And then Dave Filoni, who of course is
in Dave Filoni we trust. Yeah,
he's
he's done loads of Clone Wars, Rebels, and Mandalorian is the thing that he does a lot of stuff on.
So he's going to be directing a movie that will bring together all of the Disney Plus shows. So Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Boba Fett. I guess all of these shows are going to be making its own movie. Great, more people turning up in things that they aren't originally meant to be in
for an Avengers team up style.
I think more of a dare I refer to this because it's not that popular, but Marvel's The Defenders, on Netflix. Do you remember? With Jessica Jones and Luke Cage? That is a whole era. It's just been lost, swept under the rug.
Well, Daredevil is coming back.
Except for Daredevil, resurrected and rebooted.
Yeah.
But all the other ones taken out the back and shot. Kevin Feige just honestly, come
Jessica Jones was the thing. There were just a couple of people too few to recommend me to watch Jessica Jones.
I tried.
And a couple of people watch it.
No, but someone said to me, Jessica Jones is fantastic.
I had the same.
Okay. And I got about halfway, and I was like, "This is difficult." And this was I was younger as well. I was more open to things then. And David Tennant, I was like, "Oh, I'm glad to see David Tennant." And it's like, whatever. And the third film is that Daisy Ridley is going to be returning as Rey for a new movie set after the Rise of Skywalker, which will follow the rebuilding of the Jedi Order. Not terribly thrilled or excited about that one, to be honest with you, James. I like the sound of the James Mangold one, which is far away from the original trilogies. We know, just get away from it. The Dave Filoni one is near, but not encroaching on. But this just seems a little bit. The story's done. I don't need to. Can we just stop it now? Just stop it. We don't like. I don't want to be reminded about.
It was done when we partied on Endor, George. I mean, look. As an ideology, like.
It's on Spotify.
Have you seen the Lo-Fi Beats playlist on Star Wars?
No, is it?
It's all the songs, but with Lo-Fi Beats. They do the Cantina band. And you can work to it. It's fantastic. I'll send it to you. It's great. Anyway. Look, my first instinct of, I could very easily rail into the Rise of Skywalker and what an imperfect ending it was, and how it clearly went through multiple rewrites and changed hands multiple times. Like I could go, why are they doing this? This is very negative. I instead wanted to focus on what they could do that's positive, that could hopefully repair some of the damage. Because if it was to end at 9, Rise of Skywalker, that's really sad. You've touched something very special, and you basically, with the sort of corporate studio, ruined it, right? Yeah. And my first instinct was negative, and then I thought, okay, hold on. What if we can repair some of the stuff that was broken? What if we can actually reintroduce Finn in a way that felt like his story was never really complete? What if there's more underexplored things to do with him? The fact that he might actually be force sensitive is for one. Second one, what if you repaired the most awful character reintroduction, which was Palpatine? What if we went back and we actually explored the cloning of Snoke? Explained how Palpatine came back, and we filled in the gaps. We fill in so many gaps in Star Wars with all our TV shows and our cartoons that people love to shout us about in the comics. Why not, just seeing as you're going to do a story from the granddaughter of Palpatine, fix it a bit? Yeah. Bring Andy Serkis back for Snoke. Like, make more sense out of that decision. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I think that makes total. Yeah,
try and fix it.
That's a really positive idea.
And the Knights of Ren.
Okay.
Where were they?
They
were a really cool action figure set.
Yes.
But I remember seeing them in the Force Awakens trailer, be like, ooh, the Knights of Ren. Who are they? Adam Driver's little boys club, his Lost Boys with the cool little different suits. Bring them in. They were cool. Like, fill in the gaps.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to rail on it. I actually don't dislike the character of Rey as much as I think a lot of people do. I think, unfortunately, like the path her character went down is a little bit unfortunate. But as a character, I don't mind her. I like Daisy Ridley too. I think that's a really positive outlook, and I don't know. I think that's fair. I think you're being very fair, and I think we've been here before, and not to reference it again, but like with House of the Dragon, we were all like, we're done with Game of Thrones. It's over it. It's crashed. I was ready to be like, not watching it,
and then it's completely redeemed it. Yeah, and maybe this can do something else. Maybe it can actually redeem itself and come back.
You keep Rey for a reason. Her story's not complete.
Sure, right.
Still not Skywalker though.
No, there are problems there, but I mean, look, I don't even know if I'm not watching any more Mandalorian. I'm waiting. You hold the fate of the Mandalorian and my view and my relationship with it in your hands. If you say to me that I should watch it, I will watch it. If you go, meh, that's it.
I think I'm waiting for myself to be sick to the point of bedridden to complete all of the Star Wars TV shows. You
can't be sick to the point of bedridden, James. We've got a show to do.
Yeah, I know.
I will wheel you in here with your oxygen tank.
Even on my ventilator, I will be watching content for when I return.
Thank you.
That I'm going to wait till I'm sort of really sick and sort of I can watch those. But I can't see myself right now with everything that's coming out.
God, this worries me, James, because you don't get sick often. So I'm worried you're saving it up.
I wish you got sick more.
No, but I'm worried you're like saving it up.
And there's going to be like too much to do. I'll be
too much
work.
sick.
I'll be like, oh God, I'm sick.
I'm really sick. It's like, because you haven't, reclaimed your sick vouchers. Yeah, so it's like, your body's like, well, we haven't been sick in ages.
There's too much. I can't consume it all. It's not special anymore.
Content.
Sorry. The Star Wars.
Yeah, do you know what? There's a really funny thing. In an interview before the pandemic, Chris Hewitt was on. Chris Hewitt used to be or still is a journalist for Empire Magazine, right? And he was being interviewed on the Films to Be Buried with podcast. And someone was saying, like, I think Brett Goldstein was like, how is the challenge of being film and TV reviewer, like, is it a struggle? And he was like, oh, I know, there's so many wonderful things out there. But he said, I just wish that there was like 1 year where like
nothing came out.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
He said, I just wish there'll be like 1 year where no one makes anything, just so I can catch up. And then the fucking pandemic happened, and I felt like tweeting Chris Hewitt being like, you got it.
Yeah.
I hope you're using your time wisely.
I wouldn't say the pandemic was a clean. It was as close as we'll ever get. Hopefully,
like,
it was as close as we'll get to sort of clean, nothing coming out. But there was
like
2019
production
content
stopping, and like there was an ebb, a recession.
I would say the deficit was just afterwards when we came out of it. When we started this show, we were feeling the deficit.
Oh yeah, we were.
Yeah,
there was a real.
There wasn't stuff coming out every week like there is now in the second year of PULP Kitchen. Speaking
of, you've been out to the cinema many times. You've been seeing things this week. Why don't we talk about some movies?
Let's do it.
Before we begin this review, I just want to say, because we didn't say it at the top of the show, welcome to any new listeners. Welcome to the PULP Kitchen. Come on in.
The show continues to grow.
The show continues to grow. Everyone's welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, wahoo!
An IP I know about, but I don't think I've ever played it extensively.
Okay.
I think I've had like a couple of sessions at uni, and that was it. So it looks very colourful. It looks like it was made on sugar. James, Super Mario. And at the time of recording, it's taking like loads of money.
Yeah, I'll come on to that. It's making loads of money. Mario, I like Mario. Mario's always been, I'd say, from anyone my age and even from the entire millennial generation into Gen X, Mario's been a consistent part of many people's lives. I really enjoy Mario. I can't say I'm like, oh my God, Mario Brothers, like the game design. I enjoy it when I play it. I've played many of them. I've played Super Mario 64. I've played the original Mario Brothers, Mario World. Big fan. Enjoy it when I get to play it. It's interesting when I saw this film get announced and I saw the trailers for it, and I thought, that's interesting. They're going to try and rationalize Mario when it's a really sort of, it doesn't really have a plot. It's plumbers.
But they're trying to justify the fact that he's a plumber. Like.
Well, no, I mean, I'll get into it, but it's like you're trying to rationalize and give a voice to a character that is otherwise like not really. He doesn't really have one. I know he does technically speak. He goes, "Wahoo, it's a me!" Oh, like there's that, and you're like, "Oh, okay, now we need to like." Justify the Mushroom Kingdom and the princess and Yoshi, and I'm like, how are they going to do that? Is that
logic to a
And usually when I see that, I start thinking, okay, you're going to have to be a satire on the genre. And I start thinking about how I felt like Shrek was a real satire of its genre.
Yeah.
No, we're harking back to an old thing. I thought it did that really successfully because it was doing a fairy tale. It was the people who make cartoons doing a cartoon, but like it's a new genre. Yeah. It's a new millennium. We're doing it very differently. And so... like, lo and behold, we've got Mario and Luigi, who own a plumbing company called the Super Mario Brothers, who just spent all their money on a new advert, and they're in Brooklyn, in New York. And Mario and Luigi are like, hey, man, we gotta do this.
Are they human?
They're human, which, again, like, was Mario a human?
Is he played? Are they played by real people then?
Yeah, played by real people. So you've got Chris Pratt voicing Mario. You've got Luigi voiced by Charlie Day.
Hey, just so I understand though, but like
she has a family who are like Italian American. Like, hey, you gotta have the spaghetti with the mushrooms.
And this bit's animated.
This is all animated.
Okay, so the bit in New York is not like real world people.
No,
like
no. Oh, sorry, no, it's not live action.
Thank you.
Yes, no. There's like they are as real people with real family.
Okay, got it.
Who look and talk like
they live on Earth. Okay, yeah.
And they're like, God, we got to get this plumbing business. I'm laughing talking about it because I'm like, you're trying to rationalize Mario, which didn't really ever make sense. So they're in the real world, and there's a big, they got to like try and boost their plumbing business. They're watching the news, and they see, oh my God, one of the main pipes in the city is blowing. We should go over there. Luigi, come with me. And Luigi, he very much sort of follows in Mario's shadow. He quit his job to go to something ridiculous. He quit his job to go and start this Super Mario Brothers plumbing company with Mario, yeah. It really is. And then there's like this Goodfellas dining scene, like the Italian in the vest with his arms on the table, and he's getting the mushroom spaghetti, and Mario doesn't like mushrooms. And he's like, we got to go and fix this big plumbing issue in the city. Oh my God, the subway's closed. Hang on, I'm really good at platforming. So Mario jumps around the city like you would in a level, and the camera goes into 2D. And they go down underground, and they need to fix the wrench, and they get sucked into a tunnel, a plumbing, what are they called?
Pipe.
into a pipe.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. He gets sucked into a pipe, and where does he get sucked into? The Mushroom Kingdom.
Wow.
Of course, there is Toad who greets him when he gets there. Luigi gets sucked into a different pipe system and ends up with Bowser. Bowser, obviously, is voiced by Jack Black, who has an ultimate plan to capture a magic star, to convince Princess Peach to marry him, or he'll destroy the castle. And you know what I mean? Like it's sort of like save the princess, get the princess, but obviously the princess doesn't need to be saved because it's Luigi needs to be saved. And I'm like, okay, we're doing this genre, but there wasn't as much of a satire of it. And I went in a screening. I went to a multiplex, and it was when it was one of the biggest screens they had there, and it was fairly full. And there was kids from mixed ages. You had from 9 to 12, and then you had some mid-teens, and then some late teens, their parents, and then me at 28 with like a beer and Moretti. Actually, I have a film podcast, which is why I'm seeing this. And the big problem with it, it's nowhere near funny enough. The audience reactions to it were quiet. And when I analysed the humour of this and where I think it does fall short, it felt like corporate humour. Safe for work. I know that's not. Yeah, it's a kid's story. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like didn't give me like a risk with its humor. Yeah. Felt very safe. And you know, if you've got Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, focus grouped, almost like the powers that be at Nintendo weren't willing to let the reins go a bit on maybe making fun of their IP a bit more. You know, like for a comedy film, and you cast Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, and Jack Black, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. But I'm like, those are few really big comedy presences. I did in my head, I expected a bit more in that sense, and it wasn't there. And look, it's just a bit safe, and I think that's where I just was. I didn't laugh. You'd be better off watching Dungeons and Dragons this week if you were sort of deciding between two movies of that ilk. It has loads of licensed music in it, which I would say are really lazy picks to just appeal to the masses. The licensed tracks they use are "I Need a Hero,"
right?
"Take on Me," "Take Me On," "Thunder" by AC/DC, and "Mr. Blue Sky." Right. And it's like great songs.
Mr. Blue Sky is used in absolutely everything.
It just, you know what I mean? Like just lazy song choices. Like really, you're going to play that? Like just the most square, cuboid way to tell your story. There's a lot of because obviously Mario is a platformer, right? And part of the thing is like the levels and he jumps. Princess Peach is like, oh, you need to help me, you know, get the Kongs to come and fight our side in case Bowser comes. But we're going to go on an adventure. But before you go, you need to learn how to beat this obstacle course. And it's like a Mario level. It's like, why? And it's like, don't get me wrong, there are a couple of sequences where the camera comes, you know, sort of parallel, and you see what would be a Mario level, and it's very colourful, and it's bright, and it looks beautiful, and I'm like, it looks cool, but it didn't really make sense. Right. Like, this is a Mario movie. The Mario Kart sequence, I will say, really well done. Really, loads of references in there, very like fun action. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen some of like the big sweeping camera moves and like the glides, and I'm like, that was cool. Apart from that, just a bit uninteresting.
That's interesting because I spoke to someone at the weekend who is family of my girlfriend's, and she is an elder millennial, early millennial. You know what I'm saying? Just get the brackets right.
Elder millennial.
And so she grew up with Mario, right? Yeah. And so she loved the film. She took her kids to see it because there was references throughout it. Like just oh, and that's the button. They think, oh my god, and the sound, even like the sound it makes, which is great. And then obviously, like, it's very clever because not only is this appealing to kids, it's appealing to their parents who were young enough, who were or old enough rather, to play it originally. And the kids enjoyed it, but fair enough. It's a shame that because I was hoping that you were going to tell me that like it's gonna.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd say
Lego
that
movie kind of.
Because it's done by Illumination, who did Despicable Me, and the quality of the animation is fantastic, and it was way less of a genre satire than I thought.
Speaking of Illumination, I have a friend who works in licensing for that company. I'm not going to use trouble.
To kill.
I'm not obviously going to name my friend, but like he worked, the big sort of pond of licensing, Universal Embassy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he said, honestly, there are meetings where it's just like, yeah. What if we did that, but like with minions? And they go, yeah, that's good. But like, what if we like put some minions in it? And
that shocks me not at all.
It's the quickest route to cash. They're like, oh yeah, we could do that, but we could also do it with minions.
Which makes so much. We could sell that product, but what if a minion helped?
Yeah, exactly. So everyone's notes are just minions.
Question mark?
Yeah,
more minions.
Different color minions.
But despite that, you mentioned it earlier, that this is an article from 3 days ago, but I'm so sure the numbers have changed. Not only did the Super Mario Brothers movie win the global weekend box office with an estimated 368 million, but it has officially become the biggest worldwide opening ever for an animated film. So domestically, this is US, brought 137 million over a 3-day weekend and 195 million over the 5-day stretch. And just for perspective, it's past Frozen 2's 358 million. It's having the biggest worldwide opening ever for an animated film. And it broke this year's record of 225.3 million, which was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Wow, okay, so it's laughing all the way to the bank.
And I'm sure sequels are already being greenlit, but I just don't think I will be going to see it that way.
That's the Super Mario Brothers movie. If you have... Did you say Super Mario Bros?
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers. Yeah. If you've seen it and you agree or disagree with James, let us know and send in an email to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast. I ran out of breath when I was saying that. hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. There we go. Just a little note on animation while we're talking about it. And you mentioned Shrek. 2 words, James. Shrek 5. They're doing it.
They're doing it.
Yeah.
With
the original cast.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah. Cameron Diaz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's coming back. She's making a film right now with Jamie Foxx.
I can't see. I'm like, oh my God, it's back because...
No, I mean, it kind of slithered away. But I guess maybe after the success of the most recent Puss in Boots, they were like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Which people said was good.
I hear nothing but good things.
Yeah.
Like almost like Paddington level praise. That was the Super Mario Brothers movie. James, there is a new shoe movie out. Don't we just love a shoe movie? This movie is called Air. And it's not about Air. It's about Nike Airs, right?
Yeah, that's it. You know a lot about this movie. You're a shoe guy? You like shoes?
I mean, I wear them.
Yeah, of course.
I like shoes.
Do I like shoes? I bloody wear them every day.
I do. I take an interest in shoes. You know me. I think I like to present myself relatively well.
Wearing Nikes right now?
No, I don't have a good history with Nikes. You haven't.
Speaking of good histories with Nike,
yes, thank you very much for interceding. So, Air.
Air is out. Ben Affleck is directing this film. It's a Ben Affleck.
Oh,
see what
sorry. Apologies for my massive pause.
Someone said to me when they saw the trailer for this, they said, "Oh, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are making movies together again." And I said, "Yeah, did you not see The Last Duel?"
Yeah. No one saw it.
They were like, didn't hear about it. I'm like, well.
Whoa, they didn't hear about it. If
only
Air had got the airtime, that, no pun intended, that The Last Duel had.
Another reminder to go and watch The Last Duel if you haven't already.
Yes.
Underrated, I think, way more interesting than people give credit to.
And came out, like, after Bond, it was like one of the first films to like come out in the cinema after, like, things were returning sort of to normal again.
Mismarketed as well.
Mismarketed and famously
completely
bombed.
different film than what I thought it was going in.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Last Duel is there. This is Air. Air is the story all about Nike acquiring the athlete Michael Jordan.
Wow.
Okay,
so it's a corporate deal movie.
Yeah,
a licensing movie.
And it's like I'll get into it, but it's like rooting for big company that's now huge to do well. But anyway, it's actually quite a good. So Ben Affleck is in this film. He plays Philip K. Knight, who released the book called Shoe Dog, which is very popular, which is kind of about Nike in the 80s. And the film opens with what I thought was a really good splash of pop culture, bringing you into 1984. And it's a sequence which I imagine would have been a real faff to get all the licensing of all the clips. We've got trailers, we've got shoes, we've got hip hop, we've got sports, and it was a really good, like, you got music there and fashion, and it was sort of like, a minute long, and it sort of flashed, and I was like, okay, great, 1984, I'm there, I'm with you. I wasn't there, but I know where I'm at with 1984. Cut to a character played by Matt Damon called Sonny Vaccaro, who is basically responsible for athlete recruitment for rookies. So he travels around all the high schools and colleges, and he watches the kids play, and he introduces himself, and he's like, hey, don't forget about Nike. And he introduces himself, and he tries to basically develop all these relationships in the chance that one of these kids ends up becoming an incredible athlete, and they are signed with Nike. And while he's got a really keen eye and he's very good at his job, he also, every time he travels, he does a layover in Vegas and he gambles quite compulsively, but relatively successfully. He's a little bit of a chancer, but he's got an eye for detail and he loves to sort of analyze the odds and he tries to see an opportunity where he gets it. He doesn't wear trainers. He wears very sad, black, grungy loafers with blue jeans. He's overweight. He doesn't play sport. He doesn't run. And Nike's big thing at this time was being the running shoe that you wear when you're not running. And one of the interesting things was that the market share for shoes at this time, I think Converse was 40%, Adidas another 40%, and Nike was like 14%. Doesn't make sense in mass, but like, you know,
was
Nike
way
was
smaller than
compared to what it is now. It's probably one of the biggest sports brands, if not the biggest. You know, just an interesting position to be in, you know, 40 years ago. And he's got this. He literally spends hours going through all of these cassette tapes, and he rewatches the games of these rookies. And he, you know, they're in this meeting, and Jason Bateman's in it, and they're looking at. They go, okay, we got 4 options. The 4 top are this guy, Michael Jordan, another guy. Which one do we go for? And the people in the meeting are just like, let's go for that guy. Like, what? And Matt Damon's like, why? Why are you going for that guy? And so he probably sits down, he goes through all the tapes, and he sees this one shot that Michael Jordan takes, and he looks at the way in which he received the ball and how he moved, and he gets consumed with this idea that Michael Jordan is going to be the biggest athlete in the world. And he says, we only have 250 grand to spread across 3 athletes. What if we bet all of that 250 grand on one athlete, and we offered it to Michael Jordan? And he has to sort of lobby Philip K. Knight, played by Ben Affleck, to do this, who already is like over budget, and the board is never going to buy it. And what's interesting about this film is Michael Jordan is in this film, but he's not in this film. Meaning? So his parents are very prominent, and it's with played by Viola Davis, plays his mum, who's brilliant in it, and they're sort of negotiating with them to get the deal for Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is in it in archive footage, and he's in it in marketing material, but he is not.
There's a character of Michael Jordan.
He is seen over the back of the shoulder.
Right.
There's a moment where he's in a room and he's looking in the corner, which I found really strange. But it's not about convincing Michael Jordan. It's about convincing the parents and trying to convince them why Adidas isn't a good choice, why Puma isn't a good choice. And I think here's a problem with it. You've got a story about whether or not Michael Jordan is going to sign with Nike and create the Air Jordan shoe. I know that happened.
Yes.
It's a foregone conclusion that happens. So the film tries to create a lot of suspense over whether or not it happens, which to me made the film a little bit pointless. Like The Social Network isn't interesting because it builds suspense over whether or not Facebook became the biggest social media platform of its time. I knew that going in. The suspense comes from the character drama and the people within it that were a part of it. That's where I think the problem is with the film. There's some really interesting elements to it when it comes to the nature of that deal, and the clauses within that changed the entire infrastructure for the way that athletes get paid in their merchandising deals. And as we know, Michael Jordan made the vast amounts of his money from that deal with Nike, and loads of other athletes, because of that, were able to make large amounts of money. Again, like, big whoop to Nike, the big corporation, for making the big deal. But that element of it to me meant that I was only so interested in, like, whether or not, did we get it? Did we get it? Yeah, you did.
Because it's not like...
You did get it.
It's not one person's hero's journey. It's a company trying to succeed.
Yeah,
right?
And they did get it, and we know that's true. Unless you just were spawned 2 years ago and you'd never watched anything related, even as a Brit, like, even if you like never watched anything else. We know Michael Jordan goes on to become one of the greatest athletes of all time, if not the. So that's my main problem with it. The decision to not put Michael Jordan in it, I found distracting, because he's such an important part of this. It's Air Jordan, and there's moments where he's noticeably absent from a lot of the, you know, ways in which, like, Matt Damon speaks to him on the phone at once, and he's noticeably absent from the meetings. And the moment he is there, he's like in the back of the room, like, not looking. And I'm like, wow, that's distracting. That's Michael Jordan, and you're refusing to show his face. I've read up on it, and it's because it was an artistic decision to not try to take the image of Michael Jordan, or let's say Michael Jackson, of Michael Jordan away from the marketing and the archive footage and put it into another actor's face. Right. I think it's just a little bit too hard, and there's something lost from it. That's the only thing. It's a real great, feel-good film with really great performances. You've got Matt Damon, Jason Bateman's in it, and God, what's the one from Rush Hour called again?
Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker's also brilliant
in it.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Wow.
He's really good.
Where's he
and
been?
Ben Affleck's great in it. I like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon together. I think the dialogue's really sharp. It's engaging. It's feel good. You've got loads of 80s hair and flair.
Love it.
Just like, I was only so interested in it, but I had a fun time.
A couple of things. What I'm interested to know is that, so my whole knowledge of this thing was informed by that really fantastic series, The Last Dance.
Yeah,
on Netflix,
fantastic.
Right? All about the Chicago Bulls, and I thoroughly recommend that to people because, like me, I knew nothing about basketball. I'm a complete novice, and I learned so much, and it's such a great story. And there is one whole episode about Air Jordans and Nike and Michael Jordan's relationship to that was so interesting and so informative and entertaining. That whole documentary is done. So when I see the trailer for Air and hear you talk about it, I'm like, is that 2-hour film, let's say, is it 2 hours roughly?
Yeah, no, 90.
Okay, is that 90-minute film going to be as good as that hour-long episode documentary I saw?
The documentary probably has more value to you as a storytelling.
Right, and Michael Jordan is in the documentary.
Jordan's in it, both in archive and now. As a retrospective interview.
So that's the value there. And another thing I was going to say is that it's interesting you mentioned The Social Network, because it's like, that is 13 years ago now.
Yeah.
And, we're still having films. We still have that kind of subgenre of films. We've just had Tetris as well, about licensing deals for you take a very famous product that we all know.
Yeah.
The Founder is another example as well.
Yes,
and you look at the sort of background corporate dealings that go into it. Although you and I quite like The Founder. I think,
it's good.
But it's interesting that even 13 years later, that hasn't...
People are still chasing the dragon. As the
Social Network hasn't been superseded.
No.
Like, it is still the OG one of, if you want to see a film about a famous product, but the story behind it, that's more interesting than you think it is.
Yeah.
That's why.
It's a really good story. And like all the blurbs at the end.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think I'll spoil, because there's loads of stuff like you wouldn't know. And it's really nice to see like, oh wow, that's so interesting. It's just like the focus wasn't on the right bit. But I had a really nice time watching it. I saw it in cinema.
Is it going on to like Apple TV? Like
I think it's a Prime.
Right.
It's one of the Prime ones.
I hate to say this, but like it does look like a kind of...
Straight to Prime.
A straight to streaming one. Like a premium streaming film.
That has Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in it. So they were like, let's try and put it out and see if we can get people to buy a ticket. I think I sound more negative on it than I am. It's good.
No, I think it's just just fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Hey, if it's only 90 minutes, that sounds like it gets away with it. But if it sounds like if it was longer than 2 hours, it'd be a real stretch.
Oh, it's hour 52. I take it all back.
Well, maybe
didn't feel long.
So, obviously, as a shoe film, though, the question is, does it have soul?
Technically, there's a moment where they design the shoe. There's the whole idea that it's not about the shoe, it's about who wears it, right? And the shoe, gorgeous shoe, iconic shoe. Maybe that's because we've had like years of looking at the shoe and we think it's good. But there's one time he's like, look, it doesn't matter. We're gonna mold the whole sole around your foot anyway. So yes, it does have good soul.
There we go. If you've seen Air and agree or disagree with James's thoughts, let us know at hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com.
Air your thoughts.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
And let us know if it has soul.
For the next Ben Affleck.
Oh, whenever that day mun come, I can't stop. Jesus.
And that's where it ended.
Great. Well, James, we've reached that point in the show where we need to do some emails. Let's hear what people have been writing into us today. So, would you like to kick off?
Douglas writes in, just like you can, to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. He says, hello again, chaps.
Hello,
I know
Douglas.
you've got a backlog of emails, so you can keep this one for when at least one of you has been to see the latest John Wick film, though I will try and keep this spoiler-free just in case. George, you've not seen John Wick.
Do we want to save this for when?
Yeah, let's do it. I've seen John Wick 1.
Same.
And I am getting lots of recommendations for the rest of the John Wicks, so I'm tempted to go in.
I would happily watch all the other John Wicks if they were available to me immediately.
Yeah.
Like on a streaming platform.
Well, Douglas goes on to say, in my view, it's become one of the best modern franchises and enhanced by the fact that it is totally original and not based on any existing IP.
Mm-hmm.
What started off as a simple action film has sprawled into this grand mythology of assassins, hotels, and great sequences shot all over the globe, reveling in towing the line in between well-executed violence and ridiculous plot armor. And it all happened without any mid-series reboot like Fast and Furious or Mission Impossible, which you mentioned in episode 69. Adding the likes of Donnie Yen and Bill Skarsgård in big roles gives the latest film such weight. And then you've got big supporting stars, including Hiroyuki Sanada, Clancy Brown, and Natalia Tena, helping to bring the already existing exciting world. Scott Adkins also has also some great scenes, and everything set in Paris is absolutely astonishing. I particularly love the way one action scene is filmed from above. You'll probably know it if you've watched it. I think I've seen clips of it, and I know what you mean.
I've heard John Wick 4 is fantastic.
Yes, the most recent one, yeah. Despite being around 10 minutes shorter than Avengers Endgame, I only wanted to check my watch once or twice to make sure there was still plenty of the film to come, as I was enjoying it so much.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I wonder what your thoughts are on the John Wick series so far, if any, but would encourage you to catch up and catch this one. It's been great to hear the last few episodes, other people writing in from Glasgow, including someone else talking about Marvel, not just me, and even Livingston. At least when it comes to your inevitable live shows... I hope that this earns a Scottish tour date along with your native London, wherever an island Bevan is from, and of course, North Germany. See you then, Douglas. Yes. P.S. Belated awards theme controversial opinion. Jamie Lee Curtis is good in Everything Everywhere All at Once, but the rest of the Oscar-nominated supporting actresses were robbed. Robbed, I tell you.
Yes.
Particularly Hong Chow and Kerry Condon.
Agreed.
P.P.S. Have you guys come up with a collective name for your fan base yet? I was thinking the Sirens. Hashtag Sirens on our end.
I like that. I thought it was the Kitchenettes. But, you know, I feel like you as an audience need to dictate it.
Yeah,
whatever you start to use and start referring to yourselves as.
Siren, I think of as like the bad mermaids that drown you.
Yeah, like in
really sexy,
the
they're
Lighthouse.
on the rock.
Yeah.
And you go and swim. And then
Do you remember
like,
the siren scene in the Lighthouse?
Oh my God.
When it's just like silent, then it's like... thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I believe you with all of those John Wick recommendations. I will be tempted to jump in.
This next email is from Calvin. Calvin says, "Hey, James and George. Calvin from Manchester here." I believe Calvin has emailed him before.
Yeah.
I loved hearing George's thoughts on Evil Dead 2 in the latest episode, as it's one of my all-time favourite films. Given that a new Evil Dead movie is coming out soon, which Evil Dead Rise, if it's not already out at the moment, and I know you both have vast amounts of free time, I'd highly recommend the original and Army of Darkness, which is sillier but still a classic, so Evil Dead 1 and Army of Darkness, which came after. I'd also recommend the TV show Ash vs. Evil Dead, which was sadly cancelled too soon, but is still a fantastic continuation of the story. If you enjoyed Evil Dead 2's balance of gore, horror, camp, and Bruce Campbell physical comedy, Ash vs. Evil Dead is another entry into the franchise that strikes the balance perfectly. Just again, thinking about how much fun Evil Dead 2 was. Just like, so great. Personally, I think Evil Dead 2 is one of those films you can watch again and again and it never gets old, which got me thinking, what are the films that you can watch hundreds of times without getting bored? When I was younger, I had a TV in my bedroom with 2 films of VHS that I watched over and over. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Never seen it, actually. Too Fast, Too Furious, the only one I've seen it. Yeah. But feel free to come up with your own picks if you, for some reason, aren't happy with the cinematic masterpiece that is Too Fast, Too Furious.
Do I need to rewatch Too Fast, Too Furious?
I don't know. I mean,
I've seen it.
Calvin certainly did. What is the films that I've watched
hundreds?
The most?
In the hundreds, I'd say there's very few. I mean, probably haven't seen a film. Like my sort of in that caliber of hundreds, we're talking Spider-Man's 1 and 2, Tobey Maguire, because I had them on VHS. Lord of the Rings, Matrix,
Star Wars.
But I'd say like if we're going a category down from hundreds and sort of films that I've seen many times, and if you offered them to me to watch, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's do it. It'd be like The Departed. I think I've seen that 4 times, and I'd be very happy to watch it tomorrow. Prestige, I could watch every year.
I think I've seen the Prestige. I used to watch every year. I think I've seen the Prestige 7 times. Yeah, I think I could easily watch that. I've watched
3 or 4.
There Will Be Blood. I've watched 4 times.
Yeah. Check our thing last week about when George watched it.
So what I did when I was younger a lot is not rewatch whole films. I used to go to our DVD player, pull out the DVD drawer, and watch individual scenes. So I used to watch key scenes from The Godfather over and over and over again. Key scenes from Aliens and Alien 3 and
Jurassic Park 1.
Just and Star Wars and just like the key selecting and Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan. I used to just get the key moments and watch that. So I'm not sure that's quite an answer, but something like that. Calvin finishes by saying, as usual, thanks for making a great pod. Thanks, Calvin. P.S. Controversial movie opinion. A Knight's Tale is massively underrated and is one of the best films of the early noughties. It absolutely.
A Knight's Tale is amazing.
Great
so
film.
underrated, underseen. Paul Bettany in there. Mark Addy.
Rufus Sewell. Yeah. It's a really good, fun, subversive, playful, modern.
Heath Ledger's breakout role. Yeah, it was.
Well, no, he'd broken out.
I know, but like for me, in 2003,
we every time that was put on at school, people loved it. That was the end of term film. You know, when
they had one DVD.
Well, there'd always be a crop of films that people would bring up for the end of term, and one of them would always be A Knight's Tale.
Because it's PG, so no one has to ask.
But it's entertaining enough. Yeah, I remember that. Fantastic.
And they play Queen in it as well.
Yeah, with the jousting. PPS. Sorry, you've just remembered me. A Knight's Tale when Rufus Sewell's joust is a fist. Yeah. Do you remember that? The black fist.
It's made of like spun sugar and it's got a spike in it because he's going to kill him.
Oh, God.
And he's like, William.
Controversial. PPS. I listened to quite a few podcasts on rotation, and yours ranks among the best edited, even compared to those put out by professional podcast studios. Thank you very much.
And thank you to the people who complain about the editing sometimes too.
Calvin, thank you very much for your email.
Next one is from Ross, who says, hey, fellas,
fellas.
I only recently discovered your podcast and have been working my way through the episodes. And I can honestly say, listening to you guys has completely reinvigorated my love for film and has me analysing what I'm watching in ways I never have before.
Oh,
you love talking about films, and that is infectious.
Oh, that is...
Ross, that's why we're here.
we do it.
There's a few people who've been like, you've reinvigorated the love. I like to hear that. And the people who go and work their way back, good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you.
If this is your second time watching this episode, welcome.
Ross, thank you. You are too kind. I was listening to your episode about All Quiet on the Western Front and your almost disconnect to the war film genre.
Yeah.
I too share this disconnect and rarely have any desire to watch them, especially World War I or II films, although ironically, I did enjoy Hacksaw Ridge. I feel more inclined, if anything, to watch a Vietnam-based war film, Full Metal Jacket being one of my favorites.
Sure.
What are your favorite Vietnam war films? I also have a recommendation. Did you ever see the series Quarry? It features Logan Marshall Green, Jodie Balfour, and Peter Mullen, and is about a Marine who falls into a criminal underworld after returning home from Vietnam and struggles to settle back into his home life due to public outrage and the atrocities committed over there. It only lasted one series because nobody saw it, but I thought it was amazing, capturing a gorgeous 70s aesthetic, backed up with a mega soundtrack. The final episode has an extended scene showing exactly what happened in Vietnam. It is both enthralling and harrowing and one of the best war set pieces I've seen.
Wow.
Keep up the great work, guys, and wish you every success. All the best. Ross, you really sort of sold us on that Quarry there.
It's an American neo-noir crime series from 2016. I have never heard of that. That sounds great.
Sounds great.
So the question...
Vietnam War films, George. I will say Full Metal Jacket is on my list.
I've only seen it once, but when I saw it when I was a kid, I really enjoyed it, and that was Platoon.
Yeah, I've seen Platoon, but like years ago.
The thing is, when you talk about Vietnam now, I just have to... Yeah. I just have to... think and recommend the Ken Burns documentary called The Vietnam War that came out a few years ago, which is 18 hours long. It's a TV series.
Yeah.
But it's basically each episode is an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
But that was so acclaimed when it came out and got a lot of viewership, which is great. And my brother's seen it like 3 times. My dad's seen it like 4 times. And it is just so comprehensive and interesting. It's got a Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross soundtrack.
Sold.
It's got a fantastic narration by Peter Coyote, who's an actor, and he's like, it was Vietnam. The Vice Secretary of the Politburo in Hanoi said that. It's just got great drama in his voice, and you've got wonderful shimmering film stock footage that they, archive footage that they use. And I learned, because obviously we're British, and the UK did not participate in the Vietnam War, so our relationship to that and knowledge of it is completely different. And learning from both the American and the Vietnamese side about that war and the history and everything, it was just mind-boggling. If you have time and you are interested in Vietnam and you want to substantiate your appreciation of Vietnam War films, watch the Vietnam War, the Ken Burns documentary. It is sensational.
The show, the audience, the recommendations just being fired across. They're coming in. We're sending them back. My pick is Apocalypse Now, but funnily enough, that could be any war.
Yeah.
It's not about the Vietnam War.
No, it's not. It's very
about
much
literally everything
about
else.
Hell, basically.
Yeah.
Next question from Andrew, who says, "Evening, lads. As I was watching the podcast, I was thinking about..."
I'm so sorry. Before you do, Ross writes in some unpopular opinions. P.S. Unpopular opinion. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a horrible film, offensively uncomfortable to watch, with nothing to say, and I hated every second of it. You seen it?
No, I started it when I was younger. I couldn't get into it.
Ross, we cannot comment, but I believe you. PPS. I look forward to your take on Ty West's X.
Yes,
I loved it. Entertaining slasher with way more heart than I was expecting. I know. I need to get to it.
It's because basically Pearl's come out and we've all gone, "Oh, that looks interesting," and everyone's gone, "You have to see the other. It's part of the thing."
And we've all gone,
"Okay, we need to do our
They're
homework."
on Prime, and then a week went by, and then Infinity Pool was there, and I was like, "Well, that's out now." So I saw that. Didn't really like it. Yeah, I was like, "It's also got me a goth."
Okay.
But anyway,
our next email is from Andrew, who says, "Evening, lads. As I was watching the podcast, He's a watcher.
Yes.
Welcome,
you
Andrew.
can see
Hi.
the dog. Oh, the dog's off the camera now, but."
As I was watching the podcast, I was thinking about books that would make a good film/series. I recently read The Tattooist of Auschwitz, which I loved. I then Googled to check if it had already been adapted for the screen to see it is being made into a limited series, and I hope it lives up to my expectations from the book. Are there any books, etc., that you would like to see made into a series or film? Keep up the good work, Andy. To answer that quickly, first of all, just if you want to see which books are being made into films, just follow Reese Witherspoon, because she just she just takes
cashing in
books, chart-topping book. convert into series/film, right?
She's created like $1 billion business.
Yeah, Hello Sunshine. It's just like, but who'd have thought? Just get the most popular books and turn them into series.
What are people reading?
Yeah. I said this before, I think, which is that there was a series of children's books, YA children's books, when I read when I was a kid, called The Spook's Apprentice and The Spook's Curse. Please tell me I talked about it. Did I not tell you this? Did I have this conversation? Which is like very rustic and like aesthetic. Anyway, okay. I'm going to say it now. Apologies if I am repeating myself. I would love to... Oh, wait. They did turn these into a film. They turned these into a film. Right. Okay. Back up.
It was 1994. I was born.
Right. To answer your question, Andrew, there was a series of books. Whilst everyone else was reading Harry Potter, when I was a kid, I was reading these books by an author called Joseph Delaney called The Spook's Apprentice, The Spook's Curse, The Spook's Secret, The Spook's something else. Blah, 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 the spooks, right? And they went on for so long that I never actually finished the series because I grew out of them by the time they read them out. James is looking it up now.
Yeah, I can see.
And it was, what I really liked about it was set in like very pastoral country set England in like the 1800s, 1700s, just something in the past. It's very bucolic and it's not about the city, it's about cottages and farm. And you have this guy, I'm sure I've mentioned this on the pod before. The main character is the seventh son of a seventh son. And if you are that, it is your duty. You are bound by some sort of natural law to go and be sent to work with a spook. You are a spook because you have some sort of way with the sort of underworld. Right. So he is sent off to be the spook's apprentice, and the spook is this sort of hooded, bearded, irascible, grumpy, Jeffrey Rush kind of figure. And what I really liked about it is that it has all these fantastical elements in it, like witches and stuff, but it has this like grit and nastiness, and like there's a bit like they keep this witch at the bottom of his garden with these silver bars, so she can't escape because silver, witches can't get through that. And the witch is called Mother Malkin, and like you can see like the talons coming through, and you can hear about it. It's like you don't go to the bottom of the garden because the witch is there. And like he tries to teach, it's very simple stuff. He just tries to teach the apprentice how to like lasso a silver chain. So if you're trying to catch a witch, it's all about. And I'm making it sound like really fantastical. It's not high fantasy. It's very sort of like low, gritty, and grungy. And like I would love to see that made into a series because I can see it. I can see it how it could function. Yeah, I think it'd be brilliant. But I'm probably talking into the ether here because no one else has read those books.
It sounds good.
But I was going to say they actually did turn it into a film called Seventh Son with Jeff Bridges, Julianne Moore, and like Ben Barnes, I think, which looked so terrible. They actually they held it off for a release for like a year and then slithered it out, and it was just awful. Anyway,
that sounds great though. I love like everyone's like getting Harry Potter. You're like, no, I'm reading The Seventh Son. This is gonna really take off.
Spook's Apprentice,
whatever. Next up is friend of the show and friend of mine, Pete. Pete writes into the show and says, hey, James and George. Hope you're both doing great. Love Pete. The podcast. And you keep me company whilst I edit my photos. Not my favourite thing to do, so thanks for making that thing a little bit easier. Pete is an excellent photographer. You can follow him on Instagram at Pete Jobson, spelled how you think it is. With regards to James's impressions on God's creatures and not knowing anything about the film before watching it, what has been your biggest shock in film history where the rug has been swept from your feet and the film is nothing like what you expected? I'll go first. From Dusk Till Dawn. I hadn't seen any... This is the one with Tarantino and
the feet.
Clooney, yeah. I hadn't seen any trailers.
Trailers.
You're
thinking about air.
Yeah. Shoes. Cover art or heard anything about this movie when it first released. And for the first half hour, it's about two brothers who hijack and kidnap a family after a robbery. Oh, and now we are hunting vampires in the desert? What are your thoughts? All the best, Pete.
I haven't seen From Dusk Till Dawn
either.
In terms of a film that's really taken the rug out and thought, whoa.
Not sweep you off your feet. Pull the rug out from under
and
your
feet. And you go, oh, this film's doing this.
To sweep you off your feet, to me, is like a romantic.
Yes, it's different. This is like, pull the rug out. So you're flawed.
Yes.
You're literally flawed.
Yeah.
Okay, just to keep it brief, I don't really think I can have a deeper answer. The one that comes to my head is the film I reviewed last week, which is 3,000 Years of Longing.
Yes,
which I saw that and I just thought, whoa, we're doing this? Oh my God, I didn't know you could do this in a film.
Yeah.
That one.
I'd say Coco.
Right.
Completely didn't just pluck at my heartstrings.
Yeah.
It sawed them off and strung them. And it just
garroted you with them.
I don't think I didn't expect it to be sad, but whoa.
Yeah.
Coco. Parasite, like the reveal in Parasite, I think is one. Like as a one, the
doorbell.
Yeah. And then let's mention another animated film. But did you ever see Onward with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt?
No, that was a pandemic era film, wasn't it?
That is another film that sneaks up on you.
Really? The one set like magic?
Yeah, it's like a fantasy. It's like a fantasy has happened, but it's like modern.
Yeah.
And there's still magic, but it's like...
Okay, yeah.
I was... for the most of the film, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, it's a story beat. And then the ending. Whew!
Wow. Oh
I'm trying to think like pull the rug out.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pete, for that email.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, everyone who writes
that's all we have time for today in terms of emails. Don't forget that you can always send your emails into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. I said that so weirdly because you threw me a look as if to be like...
You started speaking slowly like something was wrong, and I'm like, is
guys,
everything okay?
I meant to say that's what we have time for the emails today. If you have an email, please continue to send them in. We will eventually read them out to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. James, before we finish with some games, I just want to mention two things that I forgot to mention in the podcast. Mm-hmm. So I was spending some time with my girlfriend's family, and she has two relatives who are 11 and 7, I want to say. And Alice, who is 11, is very, very smart, and she wanted to tell me, we're talking about Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, did you know that Miles Morales is shot in Into the Spider-Verse? Miles Morales is filmed in 12 frames per second.
Oh, right, yeah.
And all the other Spider-Men are filmed in 24 frames per second. And it's only as he's beginning to acquire his powers does he become 24 frames per second. She told me that.
That is amazing.
Thank you, Alice, from Sussex, for that very interesting anecdote.
In the first film when he's
So he's like jittery, 12 frames, and the more
formed.
confident he becomes, the more fluid he becomes.
Fantastic. And also it's cheaper to animate 12 frames a second than it is 24. What if we could do half the film? Half the
and then her brother Edward, who I was talking to about Michael Jordan, bizarrely, because we were throwing a ball, and he mentioned Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. And I said, have you seen Space Jam? He said, I've seen both. And I said, which one do you prefer? He said, the second one. And I said, why? He said, the colours are brighter. And I was like, fair enough.
Nice.
It does look more colourful. Yeah. The colours are brighter. He'd love Rye Lane. Anyway, just wanted to get those before I forget. So, James, let's close with some games. Now, I'm taking a leaf out of your book and trying to throw you some different games this week. And we will ultimately finish with a cast list countdown. I think I've got a bit of a zinger.
Okay, all right.
So, my first question for you, James, is a bit like before. I'm going to ask you to name like 10 things in 30 seconds, okay?
Is it all 10 in 30?
The first one is 10 in 30.
Okay, all right.
Okay, James.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my timer out.
You get your timer.
Get my timer out.
My palms are sweating. Knees weak, arms are heavy.
James, in 30 seconds, can you name 10 movies that has the word American in the title? Go.
American Psycho.
Yes.
American History X. Made in America.
American. Has to be American.
American. American Pie. American Pie 2. American Pie 3. American Pie 4. American Pie The Wedding.
That is...
American Pie 3. Okay. American Pie... Shit. Come on, different American. Oh my God.
Time. James, I am disappointed that you did not say American Hustle, American Sniper, American Animals, American History X.
I said American History X.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think...
Roll the tape. Yeah, it's my second one.
Okay. Okay.
What did you think I said?
Now I can't remember.
I said American History X.
To clarify on the American Pies, it's American Pie, American Pie 2, American Pie 3, The Wedding, American Pie Reunion, and American Pie The Book of Love. If you technically get the spin-off.
Is that all? I'm sure they were like...
No, that's it.
Is that it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, the American Pie The Book of Love was like a straight-to-DVD
American Sniper I should have got. What was the... No, that's it. Yeah.
That's
okay.
It. Okay. Well done.
Good stuff.
And you didn't get American Hustle. I thought you should have.
No, I should have got American Hustle.
Okay, James, I'm going to give you a minute for the next one.
Okay.
And listen to the wording on this one. If you don't understand, do let me know because I want you to try and think about it, okay? James.
Okay.
Can you name 6 different movies that feature one of the lead actors from Friends? You can't repeat the actor. Do you understand what I mean?
So I need one film with...
So name one film that has Lisa Kudrow in, one film that has Matt LeBlanc in, etc.
Okay.
You have 1 minute starting now. Go.
Okay. 17 again for Matthew Perry.
Yes.
Along Came Polly for Thing. Scream for Courtney Cox. Lisa Kudrow is in. Is it like Knocked Up or no? She's in. Oh, she's in. Okay, so Matt LeBlanc is hard. What the fuck is Matt LeBlanc in? I don't know if I've got Matt LeBlanc. David Schwimmer, Band of Brothers is a TV show, so it doesn't count. People vs. OJ is a TV show, so it doesn't count. What film is David Schwimmer in? And what film is Matt LeBlanc in? So wait, who else? Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, David Schwimmer. Yeah. Oh, Lisa Kudrow, she's been like a side. Is it Easy A? She's in Easy A.
Correct.
Yes.
Easy
and then Matt LeBlanc. David Schwimmer, I should get. David Schwimmer film. Oh my God.
There's one massive obvious one that I would allow for David Schwimmer. 2, 1.
What is it?
0. For David Schwimmer, Madagascar.
That's a good one.
And for Matt LeBlanc, I agree. I looked at his IMDb earlier to check. He hasn't actually done a lot of films at all. He actually hasn't done a lot of films. He's done mostly TV.
Yeah.
But he was in 2 big budget blockbusters, and that was Charlie's Angels and Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. So you got 4 there. You didn't get Schwimmer and
just
LeBlanc.
Got Kudrow at the end.
That makes you think they're right because it's like obviously Jennifer Aniston. You could name loads of stuff, but
almost too many for the game. Courtney Cox is the obvious. Yeah. Love that.
I would have also accepted Ace Ventura for Courtney Cox.
Yes.
Okay.
Good stuff. Did you get them at home? I bet you didn't. You didn't get Matt LeBlanc unless you just watched Charlie's Angels. There's no fucking way you got Matt LeBlanc. And also, who's just watched Charlie's Angels with Cameron Diaz?
Okay, back to 30 seconds now, James. Can you name 7 non-MCU Chris Hemsworth movies? Go.
The Netflix ones where he's doing the thing, full thing. Okay, so Star Trek 1. We've got what are the Netflix ones? The ones where he's fighting. The Vacation with Ed Helms.
Right, yeah.
He is in. Shit. Chris Hemsworth. He's in The Vacation. Oh, I know the Netflix ones. Whatever the Netflix ones are called. There's 2 of them now.
There's something that's very similar to Vacation where he appears in a similar capacity.
Oh, Anchorman? Is he in Anchorman too?
At time, I'm afraid. Also, it is time. I actually gave you 35 seconds because I actually put the timer on for 30 minutes. No, he's not in Anchorman 2. He is in the Ghostbusters reboot in 2016. Yes. The films you are referring to, the generic Netflix,
the generic action one. What is it called?
One of them is Extraction.
Extraction.
And then obviously Extraction 2.
Yeah. Is Extraction 2 out? No.
No. Spiderhead is the other generic one.
I watched 5 minutes.
A completely forgotten film called 12 Strong, the Horsemen of Afghanistan.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
With
Michael Shannon.
No, I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, go on. John Krasinski isn't in that.
No, that's 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi.
Yeah.
My God. Also another completely forgotten film, Men in Black International.
Yes.
Ghostbusters, I said.
He is,
The Huntsman, Winter's War, and Snow White and the Huntsman. In the Heart of the Sea, the whale one.
Yes, yeah.
Rush.
God, Rush I could have got, but a lot of forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
films.
And The Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. No, I should really have got that.
I did think, because earlier I was going to give you 5. I was like, actually, you could
doable.
Get 7.
It's very doable.
Okay, James. Well done for doing those, the miscellaneous games. I'm now going to give you...
They are good.
I'm now going to give you...
Because it could be anything. There's no revising that.
No.
Sorry.
Right, James. This next one is going to be a casters countdown.
Okay.
James.
Yeah.
Can you guess the movie based on its cast?
Okay.
In 3, 2, 1. Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Julia Garner. Juno Temple. Christopher Lloyd. Jeremy Piven. Ray Liotta. How about this cast, eh? Christopher Maloney.
Not Place Beyond the Pines.
Eva Green.
Place Beyond the Pines.
Rosario Dawson. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh my God.
Josh Brolin.
Not Looper?
Mickey Rourke, 2 more.
What?
Jessica Alba.
Oh, Sin
and Bruce
City.
Willis. Sin
2.
Yes, Sin City 2.
Sin of the City.
Correct. Sin City 2, A Dame to Kill For, another completely forgotten film.
sequel.
How about that cast
Amazing
list?
cast.
Lady Gaga, Julia Garner, Juno Temple, Christopher Lloyd, Jeremy Piven, Ray Liotta, Christopher Maloney, Eva Green, Rosario Dawson, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Josh Brolin, Mickey Rourke, Jessica Alba, and Bruce Willis.
Wow.
Wow. And I knew the Lady Gaga thing would throw you off because she has a 1-minute cameo in that.
Isn't Eva Green in that as well?
I said Eva Green.
Oh, you said Eva
You
Green.
thought I said Eva Mendes. That's why you think you've placed Beyond the Pines.
Yes.
The wrong Eva.
Yeah. You said Ray Liotta and what I thought was Eva Mendes.
Yeah.
I was like, Place Beyond the Pines.
That's a cast.
Great cast. I've seen that film and could not remember anything about it.
Well, when I watched the clip earlier to verify how long Lady Gaga was in it for, I was like, Christ,
Second.
thank God I'm not watching any more of this.
Is she a singer in a bar?
No, she is the equivalent. She's a husky waitress. You know,
okay.
You know, as being like, hey, you remind me of an old boyfriend of mine.
It's a gritty city.
Hey, yeah, literally,
it's a tough bar, and I'm a tough gal.
Yeah, you went Boston. Then,
Yeah, I know, I did,
Hey,
yeah.
it's a tough bar.
It's a tough bar. I'm a
Joseph
softy.
Gordon.
Yeah.
Gordon.
I'm your best fucking friend.
Yeah. Hey, guy.
Hey,
How
who,
did you fuck?
who am I? Who are you? I'm your best fucking friend.
The Departed. That was
Departed.
The Departed.
Departed.
The Fighter. The Fighter. Is the Fighter? That's Boston.
The Fighter, yeah.
The Fighter.
The Fighter.
He's got his fight. I can get his fight.
I think I found a
I
transformer.
gotta get his fight. That's not like Eddie Murphy.
Is this how much junk that's going to get you to college? That's Transformers 4. 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this episode 71 of Pulp Kitchen. It's been a pleasure. James.
Don't forget, we post new episodes of this show every single Wednesday. George.
We also have lots of bonus content. Remember, we're doing that now. So if you head over to our channel, keep an eye out throughout the week because we're going to be doing a review of Rye Lane.
Yep.
James is going to be talking about Mulholland Drive because he's finally watched it for the first time. And as ever, please follow us on Instagram and TikTok and give us a like, a subscribe, share us as a link.
Tell your
and,
friends.
Give us a little star rating on Spotify. That means a lot. And subscribe and sing for
everything.
Julie Andrews, go to the top of the hills and just sing
There's
it loud.
a button. Just press it.
Just be like, say every other word is Pulp Kitchen.
Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.
See you next week.